A top driver just sent NASCAR fans into a frenzy after Chase Elliott's Martinsville win because one viral radio exchange has people asking whether NASCAR practically handed Hendrick Motorsports the race. Chase Elliott absolutely won the Cookout 400. But the biggest debate after the checkered flag was not just the win itself. It was the timing of one caution, the way the race flipped away from Denny Hamlin, and a Ryan Blaney radio moment that social media instantly turned into a NASCAR rigged this for Chase Elliott conversation. And honestly, I get why people went there. If you watched the race live, it felt like Hamlin had this thing under control for most of the afternoon. He started on pole, led 292 laps, won both stages, and looked like the class of the field. Then Elliott and Alan Gustafson rolled the strategy dice. A late caution wiped out part of Hamlin's advantage. And all of a sudden, a race that looked locked up turned into one of the wildest endings we've seen all season. So, in this video, we're going to go through everything one by one. The Martinsville results, how Chase Elliott actually beat Denny Hamlin, why Ryan Blaney's radio reaction got fans screaming rigging, what really happened between Blaney and Hamlin late in the race, what Hamlin said afterward, the Bubba, Wallace, and Carson Hocevar pileup that added even more chaos, and then we'll get to the big question that everybody is arguing about right now. Was this really NASCAR handing Hendrick Motorsports a trophy? Or was it just a brutal mix of timing, strategy, and Martinsville madness? First, let's set the stage properly to know what exactly happened. The official results say Chase Elliott won the Cookout 400 by 0.565 seconds over Denny Hamlin. Joey Logano finished third, Ty Gibbs fourth, William Byron fifth, and Ryan Blaney came home sixth. Elliott started 10th, led 84 laps, and gave Hendrick Motorsports its first Cup win of the 2026 season and its 31st Cup win at Martinsville. Hamlin, meanwhile, led 292 laps, which tells you almost everything you need to know about how dominant he was before the race got turned upside down. That's what made this finish feel so dramatic, because this was not one of those races where the winner just hung around the top three all day and then finally got the lead. Elliott was not controlling this race early. Hamlin was. In fact, NASCAR's official recap and the post-race breakdown both make it pretty clear that Elliott's path to victory came from strategy, not raw domination. Alan Gustafson and the No. 9 team knew they were not going to beat Hamlin straight up on equal terms, so they went looking for another way to flip the track position game. And this is where the story really starts. With 138 laps to go, Gustafson called Elliott to pit road while he was still running ninth. That was the gamble. Instead of mirroring Hamlin and trying to beat him straight up later, Elliott's team short-pitted. Once the green flag pit cycle worked through the field, Elliott cycled to the lead and Hamlin cycled back to third. That was the moment the race changed from Hamlin is crushing everybody to wait a second, Hendrick Motorsports might actually steal this. But even then, the story still was not fully on Elliott's side. Hamlin had fresher tires. The Nobot 11 Toyota was still quick. According to the race breakdown, Elliott had a 3.655 second lead with 100 laps remaining, but Hamlin's tires were 28 laps fresher. So even after the strategy move worked, it still felt like Hamlin had a real shot to erase that gap and take control back. That is why the next caution became the center of the entire controversy. With 89 laps left, the yellow came out for debris. Race trackers and recap feeds noted that NASCAR said there was a brake rotor on the track after Ty Dillon had slowed and reached pit road. NASCAR's live race page specifically notes that on lap 312, caution came out for debris, and NASCAR identified it as a brake rotor on the track. That yellow was massive because it neutralized the strategy spread right when Elliott had track position and right when Hamlin was trying to run him back down. And this is exactly why fans started getting suspicious. From the outside, it looked almost too perfect for Elliott. Hamlin had dominated all day. Elliott had made the smart call. Hamlin still had the fresher tires to possibly overcome it. Then, right as the tension was building, caution. Suddenly, everyone pits together. The tire advantage is reset, and Elliott is protected by track position again. If you are a Hamlin fan, or even just a neutral fan who hates perfectly timed cautions, I completely understand why alarms started going off. And then the Ryan Blaney radio moment hit social media, and the whole conversation went nuclear. The viral video on X, formerly Twitter, shows a post claiming Blaney calls out NASCAR for rigging the race for Chase Elliott, and it includes the exchange where his crew chief says it was apparently a brake rotor on pit road. Blaney responds, "They threw a caution for a breaker on pit road. and then says, "That's hilarious." That is the exact moment people latched onto. Because whether you interpret it as frustration, sarcasm, or a real accusation, it sounded like a top driver openly mocking the yellow that changed the race. Now, I want to be very careful here, because this is where the online version of a story can run way past what we can actually prove. That viral post framed it as Blaney calling the race rigged. The radio reaction absolutely helped fuel that idea, but the publicly reported post-race comments from Blaney that are available focus much more on the contact with Hamlin than on him formally accusing NASCAR of fixing anything. So it is fair to say Blaney's radio added fuel to the rigging discussion. It is not fair to present it like there is some official, verified statement from him saying NASCAR rigged the event for Hendrick Motorsports. There is a difference, and I think that difference matters. Still, even if you strip away the social media exaggeration, Blaney's reaction makes sense emotionally because the caution did not just affect Hamlin and Elliott, it also changed Blaney's race. Frontstretch reported that Blaney believed he had gone from roughly an 8th place car to a 1st or 2nd place car by the end of the race. And he specifically said that without the yellow during that cycle, he felt really good and had been closing in. So from Blaney's seat, that yellow was not just some random interruption, it was a race shaper. Then came another huge twist. After the restart, Ross Chastain stayed out and inherited the lead. Hamlin lined up 2nd and Elliott 3rd. 2 laps later, Bubba Wallace's frustration with Carson Hocevar boiled over, and Wallace spun Hocevar in traffic, triggering a major pileup. NASCAR's official highlights say Wallace's